Well, we're going to start looking at the Christmas story today. And I thought it would be nice if we did it in 3 parts. So we're going to have a look at the first part today. Well, I don't know about you, but I've always wondered what it would be like to have been there that first Christmas night. Oh, it must have been absolutely wonderful. And so I thought perhaps we could look at each part of our Christmas story through the eyes of someone else, perhaps somebody who might have been there. Today we're going to look at it through the eyes of this person here. Well, it's not a person really, it's a little dove. I thought it was appropriate because a dove is the sign for peace. And in the Bible we are told that Jesus is the Prince of Peace. So let's begin our story. Well, it all began one beautiful starry night. And outside the little town of Nazareth, the little dove and his mother were watching. The town was asleep. Everything was in darkness. No street lights in those days. Everything was still. And as they watched, something strange happened. Down below in the little village of Nazareth, one house stood out from the rest. This house here. Can you see the difference? All the other windows are dark, but there's a bright light shining out of these windows. Well, said Mother Dove, I wonder what's going on down there. Perhaps we could go and have a peep. And so that's what they did. They flew down to the windows and there they saw a young girl. But that's not all they saw. They saw this person, an angel. We heard about the angel going to Mary, didn't we, last week? Well, here she is, appearing to Mary and telling Mary that God had chosen her to be the mother of his precious son, a son that he wanted called Jesus. And Mary was absolutely amazed, a little frightened, but she loved God very much. And so she agreed, and she was happy to do that. And over the next few months, the little dove visited Mary often to see how she was getting on, because he knew that there was something very special about this young girl and about the baby she would have. One day, he stopped by, and it looked as though they were making arrangements to travel. So he went a little closer and you could hear Joseph. Now, Mary, we're going to have to go on the journey. It's time for the census. That means everybody has to be counted in the place where they were born. Now, Joseph was born in Bethlehem, which was quite a long way away. And so he and Mary had to pack their bags and get there in time for the census. Well, said the little dove, I hope they'll be all right. It's a very long way, I think. And so Mary and Joseph set off. But the little dove, he couldn't wait to see what would happen. So he thought, I'll follow them. So he did. All through the first day, the first night, they had to stop and rest and have something to eat. And the next day they set off again, and it took them 2 or 3 days to get there. And Mary was so tired, and the little donkey was extremely tired. And the little dove had to admit that his wings were very tired too. But that next day, lo and behold, they made it to the town of Bethlehem. Joseph said, "We need to look for somewhere to stay." And so they knocked at all the inn doors and all the places they knew that took in visitors, one after another. And everyone had the same message: "I'm sorry, but there's no room." No room. Oh, one after another. Poor Mary and Joseph were very disheartened, and the little dove was a little sad for the little family. So Joseph said, "Well, I know of one more place we can try." Off they went. And the man said the same. "I'm sorry, my inn is absolutely packed. There are no rooms left." And just as Mary and Joseph and the donkey turned to leave, he said, "Oh, wait a minute. I do have one place that you're welcome to, but I don't know whether you'd like it." "Where's that?" said Joseph. "Well, I've got a little stable. It's not very grand, but at least you'll be warm and you'll be dry, and some nice soft hay in there." And Mary and Joseph were only too thankful, and the little dove sighed with relief that they would have somewhere to stay. And so they went into the little stable, and sure enough, it was very humble, and some animals were in there. The donkey was very pleased because he had some friends. The little dove was very pleased because Mary and Joseph and the donkey and the little dove had somewhere to rest. But most of all, Mary and Joseph, were so grateful because they were so tired, and Joseph knew that it couldn't be long before Mary had her baby. And sure enough, during that night, God's son, Mary's baby, was born. Jesus, our Saviour. And the little dove was so happy, so pleased that he'd come and seen such a wonderful thing, because he knew that Jesus was special. He'd heard the angel tell them so. But you know, on that starry night, the little dove wondered. He wondered why God, the all-powerful God who made us all, should want his precious son born in a lowly stable. Not a palace, not with rich people or important people for his parents, but humble people, a carpenter and his young wife, born in a lowly stable amid the animals. But you know, God wanted Jesus to be the Saviour of all people, not just the rich and important. And he wants us to realise that it doesn't matter how rich we are, how important we are, how old we are, or how young we are. We are all special to Jesus. And if you want to know what happened next on that starry night, tune in next week.